Good morning. My name is Justin Villery with the Committee of 70. We're very excited to continue our next taping of our student candidate interview series. Today, we're very honored and excited to have Judge Brandon Neuman, who is currently a judge in Washington County Court of Common Pleas. He is running for the Democratic nomination for Superior Court Judge position, which is a statewide position that'll be on the ballot in November. So he is running the Democratic Party primary. He's going to be interviewed by Christian Rabley, a teacher at Greater Johnstown High School in Cambria County. And this is his 8th grade civics class. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rabley. Thank you very much, Your Honor, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, good morning. Thank you guys for setting this up and connecting us with Judge Neuman. We're excited to have this conversation. These are 13 and 14-year-old students, so not eligible voters for next week, but certainly curious, and we are studying the judicial branch. So they have drafted some questions, and actually today was a little bit of a surprise for them because we had talked about the possibility of making this happen, but it was secured and made official after I saw them yesterday. So they're put on the spot today, but I know they'll do great, and they're excited to talk with you a little bit.
Great. I look forward to it. And just even though you're not eligible to vote, every branch of government does impact your rights. So you should have a voice in this matter, even though it's not by voting. You could always talk to your parents, talk to people that can vote, because your rights are on the line as well.
That's awesome. Appreciate that. Volunteer to ask the first question. Thanks. All right. Martin, come on. We got this. That first one's always the hardest. We're gonna loosen up here this morning. You guys got this. So you'll come up here. This is new for us as well, so thanks for bearing with us. You're gonna come up here. Make sure you can see yourself, introduce yourself. So we'll tell them your name and then just clearly read your question so you can hear it.
Can you tell us about your path from trial lawyer to judge and now candidate for the Superior Court?
Yes, certainly. So I went to law school here near Pittsburgh, and then I was a trial lawyer, did civil litigation. And then while I was a trial lawyer, I actually ran for the State House of Representatives. So I've been in 2 branches of government so far. I was in the State House for 4 terms, and then I got elected for 4 terms, and then I ran for judge in 2017. So now I'm in my 8th year as a judge here in Washington County, and there was an opportunity for me to run for Superior Court, which is a statewide election, and it covers all the topics that really interest me as a trial lawyer and as a judge, and actually as a state representative. These issues really interest me. And so since there was an opportunity, I am taking a run at it, and hopefully I am successful.
All right, thank you. Next question. I want to just get your impression. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Loyalty? Help us out here. We need some brave students this morning.
Well, let me tell you, it wasn't that long.
Yeah.
I was sitting in a classroom just like that. I'm from Pennsylvania, from Washington County, went to Cannon McMillan. I understand that it can be nervous, but you just ask me whatever question you want, and we'll get through this. So don't be shy.
Okay, they do have some questions, some of them more content-based, some of them curiosity questions that will remind you that they are 13 and 14-year-old students. We need some brave leaders here. Loyalty?
Hi, I am Loyalty. Why did you decide to run for Superior Court, and what do you hope to bring to the bench?
Thank you. So I ran for Superior Court mainly because the topics interest me. So right now I'm at a trial court level. And so you hold typically what you would see on TV, jury trials, you do family law, you do all kind of things. And that has really sparked my interest in reviewing cases that come from the county court. So what I do at the Superior Court is I review cases that come from the county court. And then and you have a right to appeal to the Superior Court. And so I enjoy reviewing cases. I enjoy the subject matters from medical malpractice cases, all the way down to custody cases, to criminal cases. I enjoy those topics. And so it was I see it as a good fit for me. And it's the topics that I enjoy. So I know that being on the appellate bench would be something that I have a proven record to be able to handle any types of those cases. And my colleagues and everyone have even stated that my judicial temperament being my demeanor, how I treat people in court, is very fitting for an appellate judge. And so those are the reasons I'm running. And it's been, Pennsylvania's a big state. So we are just traveling around the state, and this is a nice virtual way to get the message out about the Superior Court.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. So much of civics these days seems to be focused on the federal branch. We spend so much of our time talking about the presidential candidates when we talk about the executive branch and the House of Representatives and the Senate, the people who show up in the news so much. So it's nice for us to look at a local level and a state level. But on Friday, we interviewed a candidate from the Commonwealth Court. So could you give us a brief explanation of maybe how the Commonwealth Court and the Superior Court of Pennsylvania are different?
Yes. So the Commonwealth Court is more specialized. The Superior Court deals with the general topics that you think of every single day. The Commonwealth Court, in its specialty, deals with entities. If it is a party and they are a government entity, essentially. So if the Department of State or even your local municipality or the city of Johnstown gets sued, the appellate route for that is the Commonwealth Court. The other unique thing about the Commonwealth Court is it actually does hold trials. It's called original jurisdiction. So the Commonwealth Court does have original jurisdiction over cases that the Commonwealth is involved. So the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, if they are a party, the Commonwealth Court can have trials based on that case. The Superior Court, we are a review court. We do not have original jurisdiction over the cases. And so we get a record from what my level would be the trial court, and we review the decisions of the court based on the law and the rules that govern the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So they are a equal appellate court, but the subject matter matters. So if it is a government agency, it goes to the Commonwealth Court. If it is a non-government agency, the majority of the cases go to the Superior Court.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying that for us. Appreciate it. All right. Tell me your name and then questions. You don't have to say the words.
Hi, I'm Sophia, and what do you wish middle school students better understood about how courts work?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What do you wish middle school students better understood about how courts work?
So students I believe, should recognize that the three branches of government, as your teacher explained, are equal. The issue with the judicial branch is we don't generally have a voice. We issue our opinions. We don't issue press releases. We don't have interviews. We don't have anything like that. And so even though we are not, active as much, we're insulated. People generally don't know who the judges are. That's done on purpose. But we are a co-equal branch of government that really balances the legislative, executive, and our branch, creates a balance of how laws are created, how the executive branch interacts with policy, and how the judicial branch makes rulings based on the laws and the executive orders and things of that nature that the executive branch issues. Now, Pennsylvania is sort of a mirror image of the federal government. You have the House and the Senate make up the legislative branch, and then you have the executive branch, which is the governor, and then you have the judicial branch, which is the whole judiciary. So just making sure that all students understand the separation of powers and how important each branch of government really is, and how we look and check each other.
All right. Thank you. All right, anybody want to ask a question next? What do you guys got for them? Marcelo, you ready? All right. Yeah.
Back up.
Oh, snap. All right, my fault. If you could improve one part of the legal system that affects young people, what would it be and why?
So for young people, I think the whole system itself could do a better job of early intervention. There are indicators that we could really help young students with making sure that they are on the right track. The judiciary branch is very reactionary, and so things get brought to us. We generally don't bring things to them. But I think we could work better with local school districts to identify issues and make sure that we stay connected with our students to ensure that they understand that the track that they are on is either good or it's bad, and we can adjust that track before someone actually gets in trouble. And so I think that the judiciary could do a much better job at staying connected with the school district, staying connected with the students and the teachers, and really answer some questions about indicators that show that a student may have a predisposition to eventually end up in the court system. We don't want you ending up in a court system. So we could do a better job of trying to prevent things, getting information out. Right now, we are very reactionary, and that's on purpose. But we are allowed to go to schools and talk about general issues and try to adjust the track. Maybe some students are going on that isn't necessarily the right track for them to be successful later on. And so I would want to be more connected to the school districts to give them the information about what we are seeing in court and how we can prevent that from happening to the students in their classroom.
I got one more question.
Sure.
Do you know the president?
Do I know? So I do not personally know the president or previous presidents. I've met some of the presidents, but I don't know them. No.
All right.
Sorry.
That's great. All right, who's next? June?
Yeah.
Go ahead, June. You again, hold on. We're warming up here.
Hi, I'm June. We are studying Supreme Court cases in civics. Mine is Texas versus Johnson. Do you have a favorite landmark court case?
So it's hard to say that you have a favorite. There are very interesting cases that you go through. I mean, you look at Brown v. Board of Education, Dred Scott, the ones that you learn in law school. There's the modern ones that you look at, like Citizens United, some other ones that are legally and policy kind of interesting cases. I'm more of a legal kind of policy wonk, but on the law side of it. And so the cases that generally interest me are the search and seizure cases and some other cases that impact rights directly of individuals. I can't say there's one in particular that I would point to, but that is the subject matter that if a case comes down, some of them don't get a lot of attention, but legally and for your personal rights, they could be very impactful. So those always spark my interest to see, what's going to change across the United States and how it's going to impact Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
Yes.
What's up? All right, who's next? You want to go? All right.
Hello, my name is Demaya. Did you ever make a mistake in your legal career? If so, what did it teach you about fairness and justice?
So yes, I mean, we all make mistakes. Sometimes the trouble that you have, the internal conflict you have as a judge is what is the law versus what you're seeing in your courtroom, and you have to follow the law. And I knew that there was this one case, it was called a relocation case. A parent and a child were going to move to another area. And then I have to follow the law in terms of how to assess if that child can move with the parent involved. My gut told me that this eventually that this wasn't going to work out. But the law told me that I had to grant this petition, and it ended up not working out. So it's not necessarily a mistake, but it's something that really you lose sleep over, is how can you adjust what your gut's telling you versus what the law should tell you. We have to follow the law. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We follow the law, but that doesn't mean internally you don't have those types of struggles. And so those types of struggles do exist as a judge. As an attorney, there's some mistakes I made. Most of them involve making sure that I communicate properly with all parties involved. Communication is key whenever you're a lawyer, just to make sure that you're properly communicating with your client, that you're properly communicating with the other side in an effective manner so you best represent your client. But the internal struggle as a judge is always going to be difficult. But it's something that you should understand before you take the job, that you have to follow the law, even if your gut tells you something else might be the result that's going to end up happening. You still have to follow the law. So those are the internal struggles, and some of them, I would say, wouldn't necessarily call that a mistake, but it's something that you struggle with as a judge.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
A couple of us were at an event last week called Senator for a Day with Senator Langerholt, and there was a keynote speaker who was explaining the branches of government, and he asked a couple people who play baseball and softball to come up, and he asked them, what's your favorite place to bat in the order? And he had a leadoff batter, somebody who bats second, and somebody who bats third. Talked about the benefit of each. The leadoff batter gets to size up the pitcher. You always guaranteed that at bat. You get to get things started for the team. The second batter has the advantage of seeing what the first batter did. You got somebody on base. And then the third batter, there's an advantage and a disadvantage to that as well. But then he compared it to the legislative process of the legislative branch going first and the executive branch going second and the judicial branch going third. But then when we got to talk with you, I was thinking about the responsibility that comes with going third. And you don't get to necessarily start the process, especially in your court. But a lot of responsibility, great responsibility, in going third and making that decision and using the law, like you said, understand.
We cannot determine what policy is. That is for the law, and there is an internal struggle in every level of the judiciary to say, I may not agree with the law, but that's irrelevant. Me agreeing with the law is not relevant at all. It is the law is it constitutional? Is the law in effect? Is it a valid law? If it is a valid law, we follow the law. And you see that at every level, every branch, or every level of the judiciary where there are those struggles. However, you put those aside. It's the law that matters. And so it doesn't mean you don't think about it, and it's not an internal struggle, but at the end of the day, you turn to the law.
Right. And at the end of the day, people are in front of you because that's what, that's brought them a lot of people's livelihood on the line. So
yeah, no one comes in front of me because they're getting along. That's
exactly
the bottom line.
Right. All right, let's get a couple more questions here. Anybody have the okay? Dillinger? Go.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, can you tell us about your path and your journey to the point that you've come in, for people who want to work in the same field as you when they're older?
Yeah, that's so. Like I said, I grew up just like you, Western Pennsylvania town, Canonsburg. Went to Canon McMillan High School. I went to the University of Richmond, so I'm a Richmond Spider. I was fortunate enough to play football there, and every coach that I had really impacted my life, good or bad. Really showed me leadership skills. And then while I was in college, I was planning on going into law enforcement, so FBI type route. And then I decided basically my senior year that I did not want to do that. I wanted to go to law school. And so then I went to law school, and then I had, I knew obviously you have to get a job, but I knew I wanted to be a trial lawyer that represented people. And so I was fortunate enough to get a job like that right out of law school. And then timing and opportunity. I've had many mentors tell me, you should, if the opportunity presents itself, you should always be ready. But if the timing's not right, or the opportunity is not right, you can pass it up, but you should never be in a position to pass up an opportunity because you're not ready. But sometimes it's just not the right opportunity. For me, an opportunity came for me to run for the state house in Washington County, where I'm from. And I was fortunate enough to get elected in 2010, 2012, 14, 16. And then when I ran for judge, I was actually able to secure both nominations, which, in a very partisan world, I was very humbled by the fact that people didn't see me as someone that's going to take politics to the bench, which I never have. So I was able to secure both nominations when I ran for judge. And once again, that was a timing and opportunity type of position. A judge retired, and it was a position that interested me, and I was able to run and win for it. So that was kind of my Cliff's Notes version of the path to become a judge.
Good, thank you. Nice. We're always talking with eighth graders about career readiness and, all the things that they have to do about building their profile for the future. So that advice about taking advantage of opportunities even when you don't feel ready is definitely pertinent for where we're at and the things we're talking about in class.
Good.
Appreciate that. Jeffrey, did you have one? No? Anybody else? Come on, we got a couple more. We got speed around here. So we got an election a week from today.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So we started a thing. Well, actually, we didn't start it, but we joined in a group that we saw on Twitter last year, and it's called On. So maybe you're familiar with the Mean Girls, and on Wednesdays they wear pink, and on Tuesdays we vote. So every Tuesday we try to vote on something, flex those civic muscles here. So today's vote actually is about whether or not you think the American dream is still alive and a possibility for everybody. So every student shares that, and at the end of the day, we'll see a pie chart of where they are. Can I put that question to you about the American dream and the possibility for everybody to achieve it?
Certainly. The American dream is 100% still available to everyone. Education is a great equalizer in a lot of aspects. Coming from a middle-class family, I'm the youngest of four. I have two older sisters and an older brother. They really guided me. But, my mom was a teacher and my dad had a small business. And so, we didn't grow up with there were struggles sometimes, and so, but education, me being able to go to Cam McMillan, get good grades, me be able to take advantage of going to the University of Richmond and using my athletic ability to assist in that, me being able to go to law school was a great equalizer for any type of shortfalls that I may have had coming up as a child, which, I've been very fortunate. I've been very blessed. I am someone that had parents in a household that pushed towards education. And so the American dream is available. And I don't think you should let anyone else tell you that it's not available, because it is your dream and you can make it happen. But it does all start in that classroom right there. It starts making sure that you not only get good grades, but you have the interactions with people so that you know how to develop emotionally, personally, and develop into young adults so that you can handle real world situations. And so whatever your American dream is available to you. And I would argue that education is the foundation of that American dream, no matter if you want to work on, be a welder or be in construction or own your own business or be a lawyer or a doctor, whatever it is, a nurse. There are opportunities available to you, and there are people in your community that are willing to help you. They want to see young people succeed. I want to see young people succeed. And so there's no harm in ever asking how, when, where, and why. How do I get this job? When do I start? Where do I have to go? What type of education do I need for these types of jobs? You can't start that early enough. Now you still have a little bit of time, but it will go very quickly. But education is the foundation to make sure that you're able to succeed what you want to exceed. And it doesn't matter what profession it is.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Anybody want to go next? I still got a couple, but speed round. Jeffrey? No? Jalen? Blaine? No? Jeremy?
I'll take one of these.
All right. Wait, call you out.
Goodbye.
Hello, my name is Jeremy.
Your head's cut off, but step back.
Oh, wait.
There you go.
What was your favorite case?
Ooh. Once again, I'm kind of a legal nerd. So there are, and I go through hundreds of cases a year, sometimes thousands of cases. Whenever you do a case where there's an adoption at the end, or a situation where a child is reunited with parents in a great situation and the child is happy, those are always my favorite cases because there's a good ending. Some of my cases don't necessarily have a pathway to a good ending. So whenever I can see a child smile, whenever I can, because I'd never want a kid to have to come to court, but sometimes it's necessary. But whenever I can see a child smile, a child feel like they've been heard and that this situation is going to work for them, those are always my favorite cases. And adoption day is one situation where we see family, friends, children, all very happy. And so those generally are my favorite cases because it brings some levity and some real world situations that helps children out. So those are my favorite cases.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll give Jeffrey this one.
Good. Nope, we got just a couple minutes left, so if we got a couple quick hitting questions, let's bring them.
So
Tell me your name again.
my name is Martez, and there's a lot of athletes in this class. Since you were a college athlete, what did that teach you that you could use today?
Martez is being humble. He's like a Golden Glove boxer.
Oh, wow.
We got some tracks people, we got some basketball players. So yeah, a couple athletes, and I heard them perk up when you said you were a college athlete.
Yeah. So in high school, I played football, I wrestled, and I played baseball. And I followed the footsteps of my brother. My brother did all of those, and he actually wrestled in college. I played football in college. What you learn is from your coaches. If you have good coaches, you learn some really good leadership aspects of athletics. Football drew me because it's a team sport. Your teammate next to you is really relying on you. If you make a mistake, you're really letting down the whole team. In addition to just the actual on the field activities, you have a real good sense of purpose, and you have a real discipline. You have to be very disciplined because you have to get good grades. You have to, if you want to play, you have to do, be an upstanding citizen. So the discipline of being an athlete really, especially a college athlete, really prepared me for whatever was next. In addition to that, I was able, whenever you're in college, you're an 18-year-old essentially kid, and then you're also dealing with people that have been, they're redshirt seniors, so they're 23. That's an adult, and so you really learn from them as well, the good and the bad, unfortunately. But you learn from the leaders on your team. Without the coach present, what does that look like? What does that family? What does that team look like? And who is making sure that there's a cohesive nature to our team so that we can be successful? And so I've been part of some really, really good, successful teams in terms of record. I've also been part of some bad teams in terms of record. But every year I learned about perseverance, and I learned about the off season and how important it is to prepare for your on season. And that's the only way you're going to be a good athlete. I would say the discipline of being a student athlete is the thing that prepared me most for any type of job that I wanted after college.
Thank you.
Yes.
I love hearing them ask about your hobbies and your background and things like that. No offense to you, but sometimes judges are a little dry. When we think of a judge, it's hard to relate to the fact that, you know, you played 3 sports and you did these things and you grew up in Canamac and grew up maybe just like some of these students. So to hear those connections from your personal life, I appreciate you sharing this with us.
Yeah, that's no problem.
I think we have one more question.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Sophia. Good luck in your election. What makes you the best candidate for the job?
So when you look at something like the Superior Court, you really need a well-rounded candidate. Me being a trial lawyer, having legislative branch experience, actually drafting laws, the most significant law that I got passed that I was the prime sponsor of was it's called the Debbie Smith Act, and it sped up the testing of not a good subject, but sped up the testing of rape kits so that we can get so that the victims of sexual assault could get timely justice. And so I have the experience of writing laws. And now as a judge, I have the experience of interpreting laws that have been written. It's statutory construction. And so I've handled just about every type of case that you can handle that the Superior Court would see. So I'm in a great position professionally and personally to take on the challenges of the Superior Court. And in addition to that, I believe that I have the best demeanor and temperament. I can connect to people. I listen. Our job as a judge really is to listen, and then we make rulings. And so I've done that my whole career, is to listen to people before I make any assumptions. I will make decisions based on the law. And so whenever you take all of that into account, I believe I'm the best candidate for Superior Court here in May and in November, and hopefully I'm successful.
So hopefully. Awesome. Yeah, can we give a round of applause?
Thank you.
Thank you. I think you're a busy guy in a busy season, so we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. We've been studying the judicial branch, and we read it from the book. We try to do activities and different things like that. But the opportunity to bring it to life and have a real authentic learning experience like this is awesome. So thank you, Justin.
That's no problem. And I'm more than
fun.
willing to come back when summer break is over, whenever you have your next class, whatever you need from me, please let me know.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you very much to both of you. Just a reminder for those watching, Election Day is 1 week away from today, next Tuesday. So we have, oh, sorry, go ahead, Judge Neuman.
No, I was just saying 1 week.
1 week, that's right, yes. Well, thank you very much. Best of luck through the rest of the campaign and through the summer. So
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.